Everyone, my name is Kristen Live, and I'm a former toxic girl.
Hi, Kristen.
You really just said it like that? Hi, Kristen.
I'm feeling silly.
I'm Dee Dee, and I am a former toxaholic.
Hey,
hello, Dee Dee.
Hi, guys. I'm Aisha Thalia, and I, too, am a reformed toxic girl.
Hi,
hello,
Aisha.
Clarice.
So sick.
This girl and this voice.
And this is the Toxic Anonymous podcast. Welcome. We are here to get rid of the toxicness inside of us and inside of you, and to provide solutions and treatment plans.
Speaking of getting rid of toxins, you have something in your home that...
Yes, guys, I'm officially a mom, and I'm so excited about this. I've officially added 3 children to my household. I know that sounds crazy.
She
when
got
you say
food stamps now, y'all.
I should, right? I think I qualify for that, and I qualify for another stimmy. But yeah, so I'm a plant mom now.
What's the name of the plant?
I have 3 plants, and the first one is chicha. Chicha's a corn
Not
plant.
the names you gave them. It's just like the slave master. Like, what are their names?
She means like, what
What
are their
you mean?
official
What type
names? What
of
kind of plants are
plant?
Their
there?
name is Kunta Kinte.
This is ignorant. What's the name of the plants? Like,
okay,
is
so
it...
I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
So chicha is a corn plant. The reason why its name is chicha is because in Peru, we have something called chicha morada. It's like a type of drink, and it's made out of Peruvian corn. So chicha.
I like that.
And then my... let me see, my snake plant. It's so this is a long story.
That's the one that has the swirls on it.
It's like straight up like this. You know, it kind of looks like aloe, but
it's
longer.
it's like dark green and light green. That's why it's
Yeah,
called. I
like
know
they
exactly
have
what you're
stripes.
talking about. Mhm.
So that's a snake plant, and that one is called alfalfa. And the
'Cause it
reason
just
why,
sticks up.
well,
I love
okay, so when I was a little
alfalfa.
kid, I used to catch like all kinds of things. So a little aside, I used to catch lizards and I would sell them. And I caught a snake one time, and I picked it up, and then it bit me. So I had it on my finger, and I was like, "Get off, you little rascal!" So it was like I was trying to say little rascal, but I said little rascal. So I'm like, okay, little rascal. Should I name it Little Rascal? And I'm like, that's too long. So I'm like, alfalfa.
Alfalfa is just as
cute.
long. Alfalfa.
It's one
Little
name.
rascal.
Little rascal is 2
Lil-
words, and then alfalfa is 1.
But it's still the same. Lil rascal.
So should I just keep it Little Rascal?
Well, if you say little rascal, that's 4 syllables. But if you say lil rascal, it's the same.
Lil, like Lil Wayne?
Yeah.
Lil Rascal. Should we vote?
I cannot believe this.
And then my other plant's name is Lady. And Lady's pretty. She's a, shoot, I forgot what it's called.
These are your first plants in your house?
These are my first plants.
Oh, shoot. Did you have fake plants before that, or just no
Yeah,
plants?
a bunch of them. Like that one.
Damn, you exposing set secrets. You the ops. Like, that's wild.
It does look a little
But
fake.
what I will say is that ever since
like,
I
"No
brought
one
the
believed
plants,
it."
and I'm a psychological person. Like, I definitely am a hypochondriac. But I will say that when I brought the plants into my house, I did feel a change in energy.
Yeah, I can believe that.
I don't know if it's
supposed
because
to purify
I read,
the air, too.
It does say that. So
Yeah.
I read up on it, and I'm like, okay,
have hella
wait, it
plants.
takes away toxins.
Yeah, purifies the air.
And I feel it. So I don't know if it's real or this is a placebo effect, but I definitely feel different.
No, I have tons of plants and hanging plants and plants. It changes the energy. It feels good.
I like it.
My baby the other day, I've been growing these orchids for like...
Orchids, they not true.
They're not, but you know what? I've been doing a really good job, and they die, they come back. They die, they come back.
How long has it been since you had your orchids?
2 years.
You see?
2 years, and these are beautiful orchids, and they were just blooming again, and they were so pretty. And the purple one, I had it out on the porch, and my my baby comes in. She's like, "Mama, berries." She had plucked.
Oh,
no. She plucked off all the bulbs.
Set her free.
And I was just like, you know what? I was so mad, but of course she doesn't know. She thinks they look like her raspberries. She's like, "Berries, mommy, berries." Some berries. I was like, I just. There was some had already bloomed, but the other ones, there was like 5 of them. I was just tossed them over the edge of the balcony, and I was just like, "It's fine.
This is a sad day.
It's cool." But yeah, plants are nice when you don't have toddlers.
You know what you could have used those
grow.
for? After they were plucked, since
I was so sad.
RIP for them. You could have. They have these new wine coolers that you can make out of ice. It's an ice mold, and then
they
you
hadn't
put
even
flowers.
they hadn't even bloomed, so they were just they look like berries.
Yeah.
Like she was right, they look like berries. Berries,
so cute.
Mama, berries. I was like, oh damn it, thank you. So yeah, I mean, it's nice to have plants when you don't have kids too.
Right, exactly. So that's why I was like, I'm feeling a little lonely. Let me get some plants.
Well,
but speaking of not having kids, this has nothing to do with speaking of not having kids. A woman that does have kids. So I'm like the transition queen, like Dee Dee was that one episode.
Lord, I'm gonna do all the transitions from now on.
Right.
Just throw it on.
I
over
know
here.
that's not how you going into Ciara.
Does she have plants?
Speaking of people with kids.
Lord.
Yo.
Now, this was a big top. It was a big topic this week. It was a topic that definitely grinds my gears.
I just feel like, so Ciara went to an after party and the theme was nude.
Vanity Fair Oscar
or
after
sheer.
party.
Sheer was the theme.
No, it was nude.
It was skin.
It was nude.
It was
skin or
barely
nude.
there or something.
I thought it was called skin.
I thought it
or
was
something.
called sheer.
Let me look this up.
It was barely there.
Either way, it was naked. The theme was naked.
Bucket naked.
But the
We do
crazy
that
part
thing
is
so well.
everybody was naked.
Yeah.
It wasn't just Ciara.
So many. Everyone had
But
cheer
Ciara's
dresses.
the only person who said a prayer to get her husband. So,
Right. That's
people
what they say.
people feel kind of way. You saw the like juxtaposition between
Yeah.
a picture of her and Russell praying and her in that cute little netted outfit, and people were big mad. So
Yeah. And I could totally relate to this because ever since I started doing my book reviews on Instagram, I sometimes I pick spiritual books and I pick books from the Bible and whatever. A lot of times I've been picking books from the Bible because those are the ones that I want to read and those are the ones that I want to learn. So I choose them because I want to read them. And I've been getting a lot of comments of people that are like, how can you be showing your ass all day and then you're going to read the Bible?
dang.
How dare you read the Bible? I'm like, I didn't know that you can't read the Bible and also be in a bikini or be
it's
in...
all day for me. And Adam and Eve, they showed their ass all day.
Well, they were naked.
That's why I said they showed
it was
their
how
ass
we
all
were
day.
supposed to be, but I feel like it's like, okay. Yeah. And what's crazy about it is I'm not even naked on my Instagram. I'm fully clothed in all of my pictures. The least amount of clothing you're going to see me in is a bathing suit and I'm on the beach or in a pool. But yeah, a lot of people have a lot of problems with that because they feel like anybody who, I guess, represents a Christian woman has to be modest. And that's why they're giving Ciara this backlash saying that you're supposed to be our representative of this Christian wife.
She did not ask for that title. She did not ask for that level. That's a huge, like, imagine someone deeming you their example without your consent.
Well, that
People
happens
just
all
like
the time
to
with
police
celebrities,
women's
right?
bodies. That's what it comes down to. They want to police people's bodies. They want to think that because you're married, that your husband has to dictate what you have on. That man was standing there in the back, smiling,
Loving it.
Loving it.
and they act like they
Loving
didn't
it.
get dressed in the same house, get in the same car together, and show up at the same party, as if
Oh, totally.
he had
probably
no
helped her
idea.
get
And it's, he's
right.
a simp for allowing it. Like Beyonce is always naked.
That's what I said.
Like, and she's a married woman, and guess what? They're both entertainers. They're
That's
entertainers.
exactly what I put
like,
on Twitter. I was
you
like,
know?
why isn't anybody
You know
saying
what I saw?
anything to Beyonce?
You want to know what I saw people say?
What?
Well, Ciara was already damaged goods because look, she already had a baby with Future. So that just goes and shows you Beyonce waited till she was married to have kids. So it's like, you see how they can't wait to try to throw that right back up in someone's face
Right.
because their past somehow means that they're damaged goods and that now You know what I mean? She's a poor reflection on her conservative husband. It's like, bye. He picked her.
That man couldn't be happier.
He likes it. Like, and also why there were other mothers present with those dresses.
And
I saw a whole thread. Wives and mothers.
Yeah.
But particularly mothers. I saw a lot of comments saying, how do you think she's going to feel? How do you think, you would feel if your mom was out there dressed like that? It wasn't just about her being married. It was that she was a mother.
Right.
There were a lot of comments like, so it was 3 things like, oh, you're Christian, shouldn't be naked. You're a mother, shouldn't be naked. You're married, shouldn't be naked. When it's like,
listen, these
stop
Christian
policing women's bodies.
Right. These Christian women are getting.
I mean, Ciara is a model at the end of the day. She's an entertainer. She's a triple threat: dancer, model, singer, actress.
Right.
All of the above. And the truth is that what people don't understand is that this is her job. Mm-hmm. For her to be on that carpet, she was a representative of whatever brand that made that dress. Yep. I didn't do the research of that, but she was their clothing hanger and they sponsored her outfit or whatever. She was probably paid to be put in that. Mm-hmm. So that's work for her. And the thing that I have with people that are like, you can't be a Christian and do this. Okay, well, does your job also represent this idea of being a Christian? Because a lot of times it doesn't it's not in line with what's in the Old Testament. If you're a bartender, if you're serving any kind of, I don't know, alcohol or whatever, even if you work in a restaurant, technically, would that be so Christian-like in your standards? So, I mean, it's like all hypocrisy. And I think what it really comes down to is people want to take the attention off of themselves and what they need to change in order to get themselves in alignment with their religion. It's easier to be like, oh, well, she's supposed to be a Christian and she's not doing this. But what about you and the things that you're doing? Because if you actually read the Bible, it says you have so many other sins that you're doing yourself that you should be paying attention to. Right. You shouldn't be policing other people. You don't have time to do that.
And I'm not Christian, but isn't there something in there about
he who sinneth not?
No, the one who's like, you shouldn't throw stones. Isn't that in there somewhere? Yeah. So okay, so exactly. Why are you're not going to go without judgment. Your life isn't
he
perfect.
Who sinneth not cast the first
But they don't say anything. Oh, yeah. I don't know. All I know is that's crazy. But it's not just that. It's like, even for the women who aren't Christian who are out there, you can't police women's bodies. Like, you don't get to tell somebody, we have this conversation often. What is conservative to you might be outrageous to somebody else.
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't see her nipples. You didn't see any vagina. Like, now, Rihanna might go out there and show nipples. And that's still, she can still do that. Right. But, there's levels to it. So what makes you think that, just because you find it inappropriate, that someone else might find your dress inappropriate because you're showing cleavage. There's levels to this, so it's like, mind your business. Let married couples decide what is okay for them. And don't be wrong, date who you're comfortable with. Yeah, I'm sure if he wanted to date somebody that was very conservative and modest in dress, he had that option. So it's like, we have to stop making it seem as if women... It happened not just with dress, but like even with the Will and Jada situation, where people are like, they know who they married. Yeah. They've had a very long standing situation. Right. So it's like, but then everybody wants to punch down on Black women when it's like, stop policing these women's bodies. Like, this is what they chose to do, whether it's clothing or what they're doing with their sexual lives. Let them be, because they're not hurting anybody. Right. Whatever you do,
they're not hurting their husband.
Right. So if their husband is okay with it, like, and that's the thing. Date who you're comfortable with. All this name calling, just find somebody who likes what you like and who is going to wear the clothes that you find appropriate. Yeah. So I don't know. I just don't like it because, I think that we like to single people out. She was very much so singled out in that situation. And there were so many women.
It's selective outrage. The whole entire ceremony was full of women that, like you said,
wore sheer dresses.
Were mothers, there were wives, they were even Christians, and they were wearing the same exact kind of garments. But because it's Ciara, and I think that what we're not looking at is Ciara is the representation of the one that got away and made a better life for herself, if we're going to be real.
I hate it when you
from
do that.
Toxic relationship. She came from a relationship with Future, and everyone wanted to say, oh, she's damaged goods now, she has Future's baby, so no one's going to want her. And then guess what? Russell Wilson was like, I'm a real man, I don't care about that. You need a stepdaddy.
And that's my son now.
Right, yeah.
And they hate that because it reminds them of their ex. And it reminds them of their current girlfriend that they know that one day she's going to know her worth and she's going to walk away and she has options, and that kills them. That's what it really is. It's a projection.
I agree.
Well,
so, yeah.
Congrats to Ciara looking like that, because her body after those kids, look, she done pushed out how many kids now? Three kids. Looking like that, that's why they mad.
Right. Big mad.
Listen,
I'd cape on, be super mad.
Right.
Because she looks good and she's beautiful.
Right. What we forgot to mention is that the theme of today's show is sex, drugs, and rock and roll. So we just covered sex, which is and Ciara's sexual appeal. And now we're going to talk about drugs. So switching that gear, Michael Irvin.
Yeah, so he was under the influence. He had an exchange with a hotel staffer, and she alleged sexual assault and said that he said some inappropriate things to her. So a video footage came out that he wanted released because he felt like that vindicated him.
He said the eye in the sky never lies.
Right. That's exactly what he said. So now he's suing for $100 million. And I felt like it was
That's
really,
a double
really
entendre there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just felt like it was a really good topic to touch on, because when I saw the video, I didn't see sexual assault, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, we don't have a microphone. We don't know what the sound was. But some would argue that she did seem uncomfortable. We saw another onlooker, you know, coming in and watching her. So maybe something was indicative of, hey, there's some inappropriate behavior going on, because it definitely caught the attention of her peers. But I feel like now in today's culture, men argue like, you know, if I'm like, Kristen, you know, that's technically an unwanted touch. She didn't say, hey, you could touch my arm, you know?
Right.
If I'm like, oh, you know, there's some people who do that when they talk, or if they're making a point and like, oh, you know, like.
That's UD.
Yeah,
that's
DB
her all day. She talks
I could not,
with her hands.
See, I
do
couldn't
too. That's
be
why I
a
have them in my
man.
pocket.
Like, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
if I
if
were
was
a man,
she'd get in trouble.
I'd get me too, because I'd be like,
Oh yeah.
ooh, yeah.
Like, she's every single time she's telling a story, she's hitting me in the process, and I'm about to bruise. I bruise like a peach, yo.
It's like really hard, because I feel like now the awareness is here, and I love that about the present day and age, you know, where people have to be cognizant of their touch, of their tone, of the messages that they're saying, you know. So it's like, it's kind of challenging in this new world where, you know, people who are interested in someone, because, you know, like before, men used to say anything, you just be like, boy, bye, and walk away, you know. Now you just like, ooh, you
you're right,
you done messed up, you know.
You pushed it.
Right. So like, I just want to get your thoughts on that.
I think in this patriarchal society, it has been traditionally, unfortunately, okay that they have excused sexual harassment as like, well, boys will be boys, and you know, that's just boys, and that's locker room talk. And
he was drunk.
Yeah, they've excused away a lot of behavior from men over the ages, and now we are, like you said, getting to a point in time where we realize this is not okay.
Right.
Women are not just objects. We're not your property. You can't just do what you want with it. Even the whole Donald Trump, like, grab her by the pussy and do all this, and it's like certain things that seemed okay. I think a lot of men get desensitized to that kind of behavior growing up, especially the men that, let's say, now are in their 30s and 40s. When they were probably in their teens and 20s, it was just much more common. A good friend of mine said, you know, the more I reflect and the more a lot of my friends reflect, we've all done things like smacked a woman on a butt at the club and thought it was just like, oh, I'm just playing. And now we realize those are sexual assault. I remember that happened to me so many times in high school. You know what I mean? And just not even recently, a couple years ago, I was out and somebody pulled their hand back and smacked my ass so hard that I had like a welt. Yeah, at the SLS, I had the welt on my, like literally on my ass. And I was so upset about it. I was so furious, rightfully so.
Wow.
Because like, what the fuck? Like, why are you touching me?
That's crazy.
And I tried to fight him and it was crazy. And I think he was on drugs. But again,
he had to be.
Now we're getting to a point where we're saying, hey, listen, you know, this is not okay. This is not normal. And you got to start watching, you know, men and women, but you have to start watching what you do with your hands and what you say with your mouth, because not to mention everything now, pretty much we've got cameras everywhere. It's like Big Brother. People are going to record you. So we can go back and get the footage now, just like police brutality, where it would be like, he said, she said. Now it's like, well, we're just going to pull the footage because so in cases like Michael Irvin, sorry, his name is cases like that, like, if he wants the footage, maybe he is trying to prove something because the footage is there. But, you know, thank God now that we have the ability to record these interactions and be able to say, hey, like I was saying before the show, it wasn't until like the 1970s that women could even have bank accounts. You were considered the property of your husband. And even not even that long ago in the South, during slavery, let's say it was white women were considered properties of their husbands. Anything that they came into the marriage with, including if it had been given to them by a prior husband, became now the property of your current husband. You know, everything goes to your husband. So I think women just weren't looked at as entire, you know, beings that had rights. And so now they're like, hey, listen.
They didn't.
Yeah, they didn't. So now you have rights and they're starting to say, hey, listen, you can't do that to people. And I'm glad. Right. Because, you know, keep your hands to yourself.
I mean, a lot has changed with even the Me Too movement. And what I have to say on the situation mainly is I feel like you can have the right intentions in life. You could treat people with respect and whatever, but when you're under the influence, you might do things that you wouldn't normally do if you were in a sober mind. And being in public places, having a celebrity status, knowing that you have a lot to lose, you have to be very, very careful, you know, not to be inebriated in public, because at that point, when your judgment's skewed, and not only that, but if a situation like this does occur where it's now somebody saying, you made me uncomfortable, you assaulted me, I didn't consent to this, and it's your word against theirs, your word is you lose your credibility because you were under the influence. So now no one's going to believe you. So automatically, when this situation came about, he was already cut off of the Super Bowl coverage. They didn't even ask any questions about it because they were like, smoke?
They were saying they'd rather be fit. Yeah. Like,
which,
safe.
Yeah, because he has a little history of, you know what I'm saying?
He does?
Not of sexual assault. I'm just talking about like alcohol abuse, drug abuse type thing, you know?
Right. So you diminish your credibility when you're known for that, when you're known for not being able to control yourself or be aware of what you're doing.
Yeah, like reading the room, because when you watch the video, what I did see was the woman like putting her hands behind, backing up, like, and looking sometimes men don't know how to read body language. And a lot of the comments were like, well, why didn't she say something if she was uncomfortable? Or, you know, like a lot of the men and women in the comment section were saying things in the effect that, you know, like, what threat did he pose to her? She, you know, it's not like she's at home.
She continued the conversation.
He's not her boss. He has no authority over her. She shook his hand. She could have just walked away.
Right.
They even said that the guy was her lover, and that's really what happened. That's why he was staring.
Oh, wow. You know. See, I think that's interesting because I have no thoughts on it because I don't know what happened, but I do know that men have to stop thinking that just because a woman doesn't blatantly say no, that they want it. A lot of times, because of things that have happened to us in the past, sometimes we're scared to say no. I've seen people give fake numbers just to not be yelled at, degraded, you know, or, you know, any type of thing. Also, we have to remember that people go into, some people fight, some people flight, some people fawn. Yeah. So your nervous system, the way you react probably has a lot to do with however your body is programmed to react, depending on what's happened to you and what trauma you might have. So and I'm one of those people. I'm not a fight reflex person when it comes usually to, I feel like I'm getting there. I'm trying to, I'm more of, like I'm also more of like I freeze because the fuck just happened? That type of thing. Like I go into that,
like
I go into that like, nah. And then I turn into fight because like even with the guy who did that, it was like slow motion. I just turned around like,
girls.
He got away. And the next thing I saw him in the valet, and that's toxic. Because then I was like, I'm gonna fight you. And then I was like, Rob, fight him. Like we weren't even together. And I was just, and then I realized he was on drugs. But again, you just don't know how a woman is going to react to those type of things. Sometimes we just laugh it off. I'm gonna laugh it off too. When someone's drunk, I've known to be like, that's so silly. Like, let it go. You know, you just don't want to cause a problem. So I don't know what happened. You know, I hope it gets resolved. I won't state what I think, could be because I don't know. But, hey, listen, you got to learn to keep your hands to yourself. You got to watch what you say at all times.
Yeah. Agreed. And be on point for sure. So switching gears to rock and roll. Yeah. We have Ja Morant wilding out. Ja Morant went to a strip club, and I don't know what the strip club name. However, whatever strip club he went to, he was having himself a time, and he was getting drunk, strippers, money, alcohol, whatever. And he decides to get on Instagram Live and decides to flash a gun, whether it was his gun or somebody else's gun, we don't know. So
I just feel bad for this generation because
they can't get away with nothing.
All these players that we grew up with, like the Michael Jordans and so
Allen Iverson,
they did their share, but there was not a microscope on them because
they also weren't going on live.
They didn't
have
live.
I mean? Like, I'm saying they did it live.
Do it to themselves.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, you think if Allen Iverson had live?
Of course, he would have been suspended. Listen, these basketball players back then were doing just as much dirt, if not more,
if not worse.
But there wasn't the cameras, these phones.
I don't know. I feel like the personalities are also different. I feel like this
you wouldn't know the personalities like you know them now. You know these personalities only because of social media. The internet.
I'm saying that I think that the personalities were created because. Let's be honest, social media has created people to lack social skills.
Oh, so I see what you're saying. I think, though, what might be a bigger topic would be how has social media exacerbated or maybe like made more dramatic people's personalities. Like now they're trying to live up to what they're saying. But I agree with Dee Dee.
No, because Michael Jordan had an extreme personality as well. And that's without social media. He was very much so a diva. I'm sorry.
No, I agree. I just think now people want to show and prove so much because of social media that it's like you're telling on yourself now.
Yes.
Like it's not even that someone else is recording you and you're like in trouble. Like you're telling on yourself. So I think,
let's be for real. Ja Morant is that guy right now, and he don't need to show and prove because he's showing and proving on the court. Like he's the talk of the town or whatever in basketball world. So why would you feel the need to take a gun and tote it around on the Instagram
feel like he
Live,
felt like he was untouchable and invincible, that liquor, that oil got up in his system.
Maybe
now they can't go to Miami no more.
But also like I think some of it has to do sometimes with like trying to live up to like when you have a 2-parent household and you've gone to private school and you've been like a good kid, and now that's what they said, they could be the first person that like comes from the suburbs to go back to the hood. Like why? Like you didn't even grow up in the hood. So many of these basketball players came from that environment. They came from the struggle. He didn't come from the struggle. So it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I feel like that goes back. Like it's not even just drugs, sex, and rock and roll. I feel like it also goes back to last week's episode of parenting, because it's one of those things where you have all these people around you, and because you're that guy, no one's really checking you and holding you accountable. Because, babe, if you were making our money and I'm your professional friend, honey,
you can say whatever you want.
You start toting around a gun. We don't do that, okay? Now you messing with my lifestyle, okay?
Like who he has around him.
Yeah, so like you have these parents, like his dad is often around them,
but a lot of people cut off the people that say that's
the
problem.
And it's a change of environment now. Because now he's on a different level, so people have to adapt to that. And we're seeing that the adaptation is not going in the right direction. So, I mean, at least the suspension, and now they're even like saying that the team can't even stay the night in Miami.
Yeah,
they gotta go.
I know they jumped them when that news came out.
But when it didn't even happen. It happened in what? Like it happened in like what, Utah or something? It happened in a boring ass state. It was like
I don't know, Oklahoma.
Yeah, like it happened someplace.
So if you couldn't handle OKC, you can't handle booby trapping tit season away. Okay.
No, it's funny.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the teams are gonna start following suit with that though, because it's probably a good idea to get the hell out of Miami.
It's
this is happening to everyone.
Grown men that are.
They're not grown men though. That's the problem.
I mean,
their brains haven't.
Right, and you know when you're rich, like cut your age in half, subtract 10 years from it. So he's about 13 years
like
old.
A fact. This is like with drug addicts though, and they say that your growth gets stunted from the age that you become addicted to something. Mm-hmm. These people are part of a lifestyle that they are now addicted to the fame, and they're addicted to the money and whatever. Mm-hmm. So yeah, of course they're going to be a bit stunted because their situations are not what normal everyday people have to go through. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I feel like they should definitely stay out of Miami. But sex, drugs, and rock and roll, y'all.
Let's get into our toxic, not toxic. We are going to do a change of tune. We are going to do toxic, not toxic memes. Okay. All right. So tonight we're going to start over with our toxic, not toxic. We're going to pretty much try something a little different. We are going to do toxic, not toxic memes.
The meme edition. Okay.
The meme edition. So we'll have the memes come up on the screen.
So we can save our voices.
Right. You know, because we have karaoke.
Because they sing so lovely.
Can I sing for you?
La, 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 la.
So, okay. So this first one, you got to see the visual. When I text you, that means your veneer is too big. Is that is that toxic or not toxic? You see like the 3 white squares like chiclets.
And you know who I thought of?
Shut your mouth. Because them teeth glow in the dark. Yeah, them teeth glow in the dark. Them teeth big. Them teeth big.
That's not toxic because that's true.
Somebody said they don't make no medium-sized veneers.
Right. Like, come on. Okay, so we could all agree that's toxic.
That's not toxic.
That's
not toxic.
No, people need to know that their teeth are too big.
But not like that.
Just like that.
You gotta say it nicely.
Listen,
you can't just be texting somebody some big white
squares.
But that
is 3 big white squares.
But if you're too nice about it, then they won't understand.
If you had
a
friend, you would never tell them like that.
They won't understand
y'all
the
would never say that.
If you don't say it just like that.
I'm gonna try it out. I'm gonna send
just
3
send a picture of chiclets.
I got you.
And that's me.
The only annoying thing about self-love is it don't come with no. That's what it says. I don't think that's true because I practice self-love and.
What?
Self-love. I thought you said tough love.
No, self-love.
I don't understand that.
Damn.
People feel like once they start raising their standards,
well, because
the men,
you might be in a toxic situation.
Right, exactly.
I totally missed
and
that.
You got to cut off the D because they come with toxicity.
Okay, I read it a whole different way.
Let's do that one over. Let's cut that one out. All right.
Why?
We're cutting that one out because
it makes
no,
it's okay.
And I said the word. I should have said D. I don't want to say that word. Like, all right,
my mama might see this.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Next relationship, I ain't putting no cute contact name. I'ma put we gon' see.
I'm not mad at that.
I'm not even saving the name
until you earn a save.
Yeah, I feel like you need to earn your spot.
I agree with that.
I agree with that. It goes back to Amanda Seales had an episode on her podcast where she was talking about how when you have a crush, it can blur your vision. And it's true. I think when you like somebody too much, you put on the rose-colored glasses. You don't make them show improve because you're so blinded by like, oh, but this. And then you're like, wait a minute. You later on find that they're actually whack.
Right.
And I think that's a really good sound piece of advice to give people. We gonna see.
Right. Speaking of actually being whack, if your BM don't want you, then I don't either, because that's unusual.
That is unusual.
That's very unusual.
Well,
but what is the alternative? Because if the baby mama does want him, they still.
I think it's very common that people's baby moms don't want them anymore. I think a lot of people realize afterwards, like, damn, I fucked up.
No, that's what this is saying.
That means he ain't
it's
shit.
saying,
no, but
then I don't want you either because I know you ain't
but
right.
You're saying it's unusual. So you're saying most baby moms, what she's saying is most baby moms still want that man.
They should if he was a good man.
And that's why I'm saying I don't find that to be unusual. Most people I know are like,
they wouldn't want him. Is
there most people I know that are embarrassed to be like, oh, like you just see that one meme that was like, that's not my baby daddy. We just happen to have the same child. Like that is how a lot of people feel.
But imagine if you're dating a guy and his baby mom's like, no, like I don't want him. Go,
you would
have
think.
Him. I'd be like, what's wrong with him?
Yeah, you would think, right?
Something.
Whole time we arguing, I'm deleting stuff out my phone just in case you ask for it.
No, that's toxic.
That's definitely toxic.
I agree.
I had somebody do that to me.
Never mind. My other ninja gonna do it.
That's realistic. I mean, I think you should. I really do actually feel like you should. Women generally should date multiple people. What happens is we do this thing where we fall in love so fast, where we just eliminate all the competition and we just zoom in on one person when that might not be your best person. You need to date I'm not saying sleep with multiple people. You need to date multiple people to see if that's who you like. And guess what? What one person won't do, maybe the next one will.
All right. The last one that we've got for you guys is in theme with sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Okay. So as soon as I hear "get it hard for me," I'm irritated.
That is
like
that's some heavy sex, drugs, rock and roll. Like what is going on over there?
He's been too much drugs, and that's why he can't
get it hard for me. Boy.
Foolishness.
I would be annoyed. Oh, that's never happened to me. Thank God. Like, I'm trying to think. No, it's never happened to me.
She said, thank God. All right, y'all. That concludes today's episode of Toxics Anonymous. Please let us know if you share send us any memes that you have that you think should feature on You Toxic. That is toxic.
I love this.
That you think should be featured on our next episode. Like, comment, subscribe. Also,
if you have any business opportunities that you want to send our way to promote your product with our podcast, go ahead and email us at toxicsanonymouspodcast@gmail.com.
All right, that concludes today's session. Meeting adjourned.